Welcome, welcome. Nothing like a Met victory, and the Mets are victorious in Game 3 of the season, beating the Miami Marlins 6-2. And we had a great bowl game with Tyler McGill slotting in for Justin Verlander and just doing perfect and having a phenomenal game. Okay, we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about who stepped up in this game. We're going to talk about the players of the game. We're going to talk about who is Mr. Consistent so far in the season. And at the end of the video, we're going to have a very special note on our minor league superstars. There has been something historic done in one of the minor league games, and I want to mention that, so please stay tuned. But first, if you could like and subscribe, especially if you're a Met fan, you got to hit that like button. Subscribe, stay tuned. We have a hell of a season coming up. Okay, so getting into the game, the Mets have defeated the Miami Marlins 6-2. And we're going to first go into who stepped up. And none other than Tyler McGill. Justin Verlander obviously was slated to sit out this game. He was just reported to go onto the injured list just a few short days ago. So a lot of Met fans were down on that. But you know what? No time to get down. We got guys who can back up and do just as good. And that's what I see right now. The player of the game who stepped up is none other than Tyler McGill, going 5 innings, getting the win, striking out 7 Miami Marlins. The guy did terrific in his debut, and we have to be very, very excited as Met fans because I put a video about this. The Mets' strength and what will carry the team is their pitching. We have 5 strong starting rotation players, and we also have Tyler McGill and David Peterson who could slide in at a moment's notice, and we don't even skip a beat. So that is something to be very, very excited about. The Mets still have other guys to extend the depth. They have more than 7 starting pitchers, but they have 7 solid starting pitchers, which is something to be extremely, extremely excited about. So the guy who stepped up in Game 3 was Tyler McGill, going strong and supporting the Mets and helping them to a 6-2 victory. Okay, so who stepped up in yesterday's game? And I have to say, nobody stepped up more than Mark Canha. Mark Canha had a fabulous game. He actually had 3 hits. He scored 3 runs. He had 2 RBIs. He had a base up ball, so he walked once. So he had a terrific game. I mean, in the 7th inning, I believe it was 4-2. He had a home run, and that made it a 5-2 lead. And that was such a big moment in the game because that really put it, I wouldn't say out of reach, but it just gave the Mets so much more cushion. And Pete Alonso is the other guy who is a player of the game. Big Pete, he had 2 hits. He had an RBI double in the 5th inning. He's another guy who stepped up. He's a guy in the middle of the lineup who has to instill fear into the other team. And you know what? Big Pete, early on in the season, he has 1 home run, but you know what? He's doing the job. He's batting close to 300. He's 273 average. He's going to do great this season. I like what I see from Big Pete. Okay, so who's going to win the Mr. Consistent award so far? And I actually have a very, very good candidate for this, and we would have never seen this last year. But I just got to say that Omar Narvaez has come off to a hot start of the season, and he has continued that hot start yesterday. Yesterday, he had 2 hits, he had 2 RBIs, and the guy is batting .429 in the season, and that is coming from our catcher's position, and that is just terrific. We haven't had production from the catcher position like this in quite a long time. I mean, it's only been 3 games, but guys, could you think of a 3-game stretch last year where I want to get this guy's name out of my mouth. But could you think of when McCann had a 3-game stretch where he batted .429, multiple hits, looked good this good at the plate? I can't think of one. So I'm super, super excited about Omar Narvaez. I love the fact that he bats lefties. I love the fact that he's a competitive at bat. He's taking pitches. It looks like he's got a good knowledge of the strike zone. I mean, I'm just so excited about Omar Narvaez at the bottom of the lineup. I don't know about you, but you know what? If you could just drop a like right now indicating your excitement about Omar Narvaez, I would just greatly, greatly appreciate that. So you know what? The Mets, in my opinion, against the Miami Marlins, they are doing great. They are flexing their muscles. They have Brandon Nimmo. And, you know, he's also another guy I could have went with Mr. Consistent. Brandon Nimmo had 1 hit and 2 walks. So that means he got on base 3 times. And that is going to be Brandon's job. It's just going to be setting the tone, getting on base. And that's what he does at the top of the lineup. And Lindor, I just got to say, Lindor's defense has been game-saving. If everyone's noticed the double plays he has been a part of, the stops that he's made, I believe against Brian De La Cruz in the 5th inning, he went deep in the hole. He made a strong throw to first base, and he actually saved a couple of runs in that inning. So Francisco Lindor, you can see how he always appears to be a high WAR player because he saves runs. So he is so super, super valuable to the Mets offensively and, as we have seen, defensively. Okay, so my player of the game for our next game, and that's going to be Game 4, Kodai Senga is going to be making his debut. Now, I'm going to say he's going to have a heck of a game. I predict he goes 6 innings, has 8 strikeouts at least, and he will turn out to be the player of the game. A key statistic is the Marlins are striking out a lot. In Game 3, the Marlins struck out 12 times. The Mets only struck out 5. So the Marlins are doubling the Mets strikeouts. So that just goes to show you that the Mets batters aren't striking out and the Mets pitchers are striking out Marlins batters. So the key to the game, the key to the Mets success is putting the bat on the ball. Plus, not to mention, Mets batters walk 6 times and Miami Marlins batters only walk 3 times. So that's why I predict Senga to have a great game. The Marlins are striking out at a high clip. Senga appears to be a strikeout pitcher. And you know what? I just foresee a good game from Senga because the Marlins hitters don't have much experience against Kodai. And I think in Game 1, that'll be in Kodai Senga's favor. Okay, so what do I want to talk about the minor league? And I just want to talk about the Syracuse Mets. I mean, they pummeled their competition. I believe the score ended up being 16-6. But more importantly, our guys, Brett Beatty had 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, had a grand slam. He also defensively made a diving stop at third base. I mean, the guy just looked phenomenal. The commenters were saying, whoever's watching that game, that minor league games, you aren't going to see this man for long because he will be in the major league soon. I mean, if you watch that minor league game, the guy looked like an all-star. The grand slam that he actually hit to the opposite field, and it looked like it cleared the fence by like 80 feet. It looked like he golfed it out. So the power that Brett Beatty has to the opposite field is phenomenal. He has massive power. Also, Francisco Alvarez went deep. He is looking good. Also, Mark Vientos went deep. He is looking good. And also, Ronnie Mauricio, he had an RBI, I believe it was a double. He had a couple hits. He looked good. Our young players ended up having 10 RBIs. 10 RBIs between Vientos, Alvarez, Beatty, and Mauricio. So those guys in Syracuse are dominating. I predict we will be seeing them soon. especially Beatty. Escobar needs to protect his job. I strongly feel Beatty should have been up here. You have to bring a young guy up there and give him the experience ASAP. ASAP. I predict him being a better version of David Wright. David Wright, even if you just look at the way they profiled, David Wright was a 6 foot in size. He was 6 foot. I believe a little over 200 pounds. Beatty 6'3", 223 pounds. He's got a big frame. He's already grown into his frame, so he doesn't really need too much developing. I can understand if they want to improve his defensive skills, but from what I see, he can definitely cut it in the major leagues, and he could definitely hit in the major league. There's no doubt about that. He had a great spring trainings. He batted over 300, and he came off to a hot start already in his minor league start season. Okay, so that's what I think about Game 3. We are going to be listening and watching Game 4, so stay tuned later for that recap. But please, drop a comment. What do you feel? Do you feel Tyler McGill, is he the guy who stepped up? We're going to do this every game. We're going to look at who stepped up. We're going to look at the players of the game. And we're going to look at the Mr. Consistent Award. Those are going to be the 3 factors I look at. That's just it. Please like, please subscribe, and let's go Mets. Most importantly, let's go Mets. Already off to a 2-1 start. Only 3 games, but you know what? You got to win more than you lose, and we are off to that start. Let us win today, and we will be off to a 3-1 start, which will be great, which will be phenomenal. All right, see you next time.